All right, so this is Insert Coin Theater Unplugged. I'm here again with Mr. Devious Furball.
Hello.
And so we're gonna talk today about VR, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the Vive just came out. The reviews are flooding in, and there's a lot of praises being sung about the VR system. I mean, the PC Gamer review gave it an 85, and GameSpot gave it fairly glowing, reviews as well.
Yeah,
Which by all means is pretty high praise for $800 worth of tech.
and an emergent technology as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Overall, I mean, I'm really excited about it. I can't say enough how cool it is. The video I've seen of it, like the actual like gameplay. I've seen some Let's Plays of it. The achievement hunters actually have a Vive that they've had for a little while now, and they've put out several videos, and they're really cool. I'm just I'm not excited about it in some ways, and excited about it in others, and I'm excited about it because it's cool.
Yeah,
The
it
technology is
is.
amazing. I mean, just being able to do like space shooting, like this, it's like the space pirate trainer or something. Being able to do that and actually like shoot things in front of you and just have this like really intense like session of shooting and craziness and feel like you're there is worth its weight.
Yeah, it's a next level of immersion, isn't it? I
It
mean,
it is, and that's really freaking cool. I mean, that's all that I can say about that. I don't know if I even have any other words for that in that regard. I just don't like that you have to take up so much space, and the specs are outrageous, and the price is so high. And I get that it's an emerging technology, but even the Kinect wasn't that outrageously priced when it first came out.
whoa, steady on there. Don't you get? Don't you go comparing this to that pile of white plastic?
But is it that different? I mean, it's kind of gimmicky right now.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the Wii there, not just the Kinect.
Oh God, no! I
The
don't want
Wii
to talk
and the
about the Wii.
Kinect.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about the Wii. The Wii's motion controls and stuff are a joke in my opinion. That was all a messy gimmick that never panned out. And
Mm.
I don't know if this is the same idea, like that same like gimmicky feel, but I feel like it's very gimmicky. I mean, look at the titles that are out for it. I mean, I've got the Steam page open for the Vive with all the titles. It's like Job Simulator and like Fantastic Contraption. I mean, stuff that's already been out on PC that you could play with a mouse and keyboard. You don't
Yeah,
necessarily have to play with a VR set, an
I
$800
actually
VR set.
think that is currently their weakness. That it all seems to be what is effectively tech demos.
Yes.
I mean, tech demos are awesome, but it's not a game.
No.
You
I
know,
mean,
it's
you
not actual.
you can't hunker down and play, 10, 12 hours of Job Simulator.
Mm.
I just
Not
I'm
unless you're getting paid for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean that's my real life.
Yeah.
But I mean overall it's just one of those things that um really concerns me is that is it going to get inundated with gimmicky games? And have you seen the price on these games?
I
Like
haven't, no.
Job Simulator it comes with. Like if you buy a Vive from Steam, it comes with three
Mhm.
things. Tilt Brush, Fantastic Contraption, and Job Simulator. Job Simulator is $30 on top of your $800 purchase of hardware if you didn't buy it through Steam, if you bought it separately. That's insane to me. That's
Kind
out.
of expensive,
Yeah,
I'd
that's a
say.
really expensive game for a game that's called Job Simulator, where you sit at a desk and do shit at your desk. Like I don't understand. I just don't. It doesn't connect for me. Like I don't get how that meshes into a an emergent like gameplay scenario, like an emergent story. It does not sound to me like the developers are taking it very seriously.
I wonder
So
if you get in trouble for watching YouTube videos in Virtual Job Simulator instead of doing your job.
Well, it's apparently set in the year, I guess, 2050, where robots have taken over all the jobs. So you're simulating a job to know what it feels like or something.
Oh, right, okay.
And I don't. It would be really funny if you could go to YouTube on it. It would be really great. But yeah, I just like I don't see right now the value like at the moment, and I think that's gonna be a death knell for it, in my opinion, if they don't do something about that like really quick.
I tend to agree. I mean, a product, no matter how good it is, will live or die on, its usability.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, the whole build a better mousetrap thing. I mean, if there are no mice in the world, then what's the point in building a better mousetrap?
Right.
So if there's no games for your VR headsets, then, well, people are going to get bored of these tech demos pretty damn quick.
Yes, and that's what happened with the Wii. And I'm not comparing the quality of the motion control. I'm comparing the quality of the games. I mean, that was the problem with the Wii. It had like 3 decent games and then like 1,000 horrible games that
Yeah.
utilized those motion controls. And with the Vive and its need for 360-degree motion, and the fact that the Vive requires a 6.5 by 5 foot area. That's a lot of
Yes.
space. That's two
That
meters.
is a lot of space, but that's for you to do. Apparently it does sit down play just as well. You don't have to be stood in the middle of the room jumping around.
Well, that's good. That's good. I guess that makes a difference. I didn't know that, because I thought the whole shtick with the Vive was that you had to be more active and be up and move with it, which was another issue with that I was having because
Well, that's something I've watched very closely because being a Raspberry Rebel like myself, that's I'm calling myself a cripple for the listeners. I can't really get around as good as I used to, and to have to duck down behind cover. I tell you what, if you want me to duck down, I'll get down, but I won't be getting back up again.
yeah,
No, without a ladder or something.
right. And another question I have is how limiting is the controller? Like, there's not a lot of buttons on their controller.
No,
I think
on the
there's what
Vive,
it looks like
it
the
tends to be
trigger, a couple of side buttons maybe, and then a center button on the top for each side. So I guess it's not
Hmm.
any more or less than an Xbox 360 controller that you'd use on your PC, but
There are a couple of thumb buttons, but the large black disc can operate as a D-pad or sectioned off areas, so you can have well, it's kind of difficult because you can't see your thumbs, but you can touch various sections of the pad for it to
okay.
activate various things. But it is better as sort of like a swipe function, swipe up for a function, swipe down, because
Gotcha.
it is a touchpad. Basically.
Okay. All right.
As for the Oculus, I'm not familiar with.
I think the Oculus just uses
as
an
familiar.
Xbox 360 controller, doesn't it? I thought it just used a regular controller because it doesn't have the motion paddles like the Vive does. Or am I wrong? Did I miss a?
No, it does have. It does have its own controller. I'm not familiar with how it works, though, unfortunately.
Does it work
But it
with
will work with
glasses? Like, if you have glasses, does it work?
And that's another big thing. I've been hearing, because I am bespectacled,
I am as well.
I've been hearing good things about it.
Well, that's good.
I have been hearing that it works reasonably well with normal people with normal glasses. If you happen to be one of those, perhaps a hipster type with, like huge black horn-rimmed glasses, then perhaps you're going to have a difficulty or two.
Quite possibly.
But you're only wearing them for fashion purposes anyway, so.
Yeah. Fair point. I yeah, and I just that's always a concern of mine because wow, all right. Thank you,
Oh.
Ash. Sorry.
Hey, Ash.
He's losing his damn mind. You know, it's because I can't really do 3D movies very well because the glasses that they give don't mesh well with spectacles with regular glasses. So it's usually a little bit harder and way more uncomfortable to have two pairs of glasses on. And the Vive is a much bigger headset, and it's designed to be, you know, around your face type thing. So
Yeah.
I think overall it's an okay. I think that's an okay thing. I think that'll be all right. I just I don't know. I feel like coming back to the games, it's just so gimmicky. I just feel like there's nothing that's a selling point for it. There's no game that's like this is going to move hardware. Much like with consoles, they have to have that um console seller, you know? Like
Yeah,
your
they have to
Halo
have
game
that
or your
killer app.
yeah, that killer app.
That's going to sell, that is going to move consoles. That, I mean, I actually know of an individual who has more money than sense that actually bought a console in order to play Destiny.
Huh. That's
So yeah. I didn't think those people existed myself. I thought it was like seeing a unicorn when I was told about this.
I think that's a whole other episode of Unplugged.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that was an industry fallacy. I didn't think that existed.
What?
I thought, well, if you have a good games lineup, then, people will buy your console in order to play those games.
Right.
Not, this game is so awesome that I'm going to buy this console just to play this game.
And
I thought that was...
Unfortunately, it's not a fallacy. It's a thing. And there are a
Apparently
lot...
so.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that will buy a console specifically because their favorite game's on it. And things like Halo...
insane.
I tend to agree, but, to each their own.
Yeah.
There's no accounting for taste, right?
Very true.
Because, I mean, I bought an Xbox One and a PS4, just so that I could have the spectrum, and I bought a Wii U so I could have the spectrum of all the games, right?
Doesn't make you a bad person, just makes you strange.
Yes. Well, some games you can't play on the PC, unfortunately, as much as I wish that you could, like, just pay for an emulator and play PS4 games on your PC or something. But they have to have something to move these units, and I just don't see that. I don't see anything coming out for it, or that's out for it, to really move those units. So I'm of the mind that the Vive, that VR in general, is going to flounder and have real trouble getting a foothold and lowering its price in future instances. I really do.
It's not going to be, because in its current adaptation, I mean, the biggest games, not Eve, Elite. What's the sequel to the Elite game?
Elite Dangerous? Yeah.
Well, their new game is Oculus, and it does support Oculus and Vive, and that, from what I've seen of it, is incredible. That one-to-one stick movement, like having basically someone in the cockpit that is an analog of you, flying this ship in space.
Right.
That is pretty damn amazing.
Right.
And that's where the big kick is going to be, I think, in this cockpit-based kind of maybe flight sims or helicopters or spaceships.
Or games like... even a game like Titanfall, maybe if you're in the cockpit of your mech and you have more mech controls, that would add to it. It would give you a little bit more in terms of value to get the game. Not necessarily make the game VR only, which is another issue I have, but make it so that people can transition to games that they know by adding support for it. And that's one of the things that I'm confused about, is because when it comes down to games like Elite Dangerous and things like that, that will make it much easier for people who love Elite Dangerous and who play Elite Dangerous a lot to transition into a VR headset, because they'll be able to play Elite Dangerous on their headset.
Yeah.
So
I think having a support rather than a VR only thing is definitely a big thing.
Yes.
I I've se- I wish I could show the listeners these images because there is genuinely. I'm not a big space sim guy,
Hmm.
but I remember the days of Wing Commander and being blown away by the story, the space combat, the being able to fly to like it was a real space.
Yes.
I could fly anywhere, and like all right, eventually get there.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, that kind of thing blew my mind as a child, and it still blows my mind now.
Yeah.
The fact that you can just fly off in any direction in Elite Dangerous and discover new worlds and things,
Yeah.
have them named after you and stuff. That's just absolutely awesome.
That is really cool. I
I
agree with
mean,
you.
that is where the big thing is right now. I feel. I think. I think it will be difficult to go past that because the amount of spinning around I do in, like, let's say, an FPS, for example, first-person shooter, that would be very difficult and annoying for me to have to do that in a headset.
And that's it's interesting that you bring up shooters because one of the things that I found on Reddit was about VR and the future of first person shooters. And I've got that open right now, and pretty much like the whole crux of the argument. This is from Frostikin on Reddit. The whole crux of the argument is that current shooters are poor simulators of what it's like to hold and aim a gun. Do you need that? Like the very top comment says board games are poor simulators of reality, but they can still be fun. So it's like, do they need to be realistic? Do you need to take first person shooters into that world? Like, what's wrong with what we've got now? And I'm not saying that as like a grumpy old man who's like, I hate change, but like, what does VR bring to the table that makes that even better? Like, are you just going to be pointing your little paddle things at your TV screen and or into nothingness, or like what? Like, how is that? How does that add value to
Hmm.
your gaming experience versus using just a mouse and a keyboard or a controller? I can see having the VR and having it be like a 3D experience and being in the game. Like I can see that, but like the paddle motion controls, like I don't see that adding any real value. And actually, I see that as making it more difficult because your arms will get tired after a while. So like you can't do marathon sessions of that without your arms cramping up and getting tired. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. I mean, speaking as a gentleman that has fired rifles in anger and been shot at, it's kind of overrated. Being shot at is way overrated.
Yes.
And if you want realism, like being sent away from God knows how many months out of the year, away from your friends and away from your family, and without any kind of creature comforts or anything like that, and then, being shot at, then, I'm carrying, like basically 75 pounds worth of gear minimum
Yeah.
around with you. Yeah, that's not a gaming experience for me, and that's not one that I would really relish replicating.
Right.
I mean, even holding the SA-80 in a relaxed state, you can do it. You're allowed to do it with a kind of arms folded motion. So you're basically cradling it like you would a baby.
Right.
But your hand's still on the trigger and the weapon's still supported and it's ready to go at any point.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing. The reason why people do this is because they can't walk around holding it on aim for hours on end.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
But even then, like the again, coming back to this argument, he says, it's not current FPSs aren't a good simulator. Well, VR's not going to be a good simulator either because it's
No,
not
it's not.
it's not simulating the weight of the weapon. The aim's not going to be identical, the same. I mean, you're still
Recoil.
literally, yeah, recoil's not going to be the same. I mean, do they have recoil on those Vive paddles? Like when you pull it, does it like kick back? Like, I don't think...
The ability to aim down sights for
Yeah,
accuracy.
it's not going to be the same. Like, it's definitely not going to be the same because that you've got these big goggles on your head.
Mm.
So how does that work? Like, you're still going to have to simulate it and fudge it in some ways. And
Yeah.
that's where my confusion comes in for these kind of arguments, is that it's not going to be the same. And no matter
Yeah,
what you do...
I'm not saying it can't be done.
Yeah.
To develop a gun that when you bring it up, the sights in front of your Vive or whatever, it brings up sights in the game for you to aim down.
Right.
Because you can model especially in the Vive, you can model the XYZ planes so accurately that you have to hold the gun properly in order to make those sights line up.
Right.
So in order for that gun to shoot forward and not off to the left somewhere or off to the right, you're going to have to be on aim.
Yeah.
With the gun in your shoulder and, the true marksman,
And
principles of marksmanship.
Then comes the question, how do you simulate the movement? Because, A, you have a limited movement space within your Vive range, and then are you going to add a joystick onto your gun, your model gun that you're using, to simulate this game? Like, then you're not simulating it properly either, because then the way your footsteps move, your crouching, all that stuff makes a difference. Like, the way that you're standing makes a difference on the way that the gun reacts with you. Like, in terms of recoil, like, if you're standing at a goofy angle, like, it should cause... like, it's just not going to happen properly. And, like, there's just no feasible way that, like, the physics are not there. They just aren't. The physics are not there for this to happen. And that's all there is to it in my mind. This is like, I don't know, I guess that's just kind of a moot point to me. It's like, FPSs would be really cool in a shooter, but I think it would be more fit for a, like, single, like, a pistol shooting range kind of simulation. That's about it. I couldn't see any further than that. I really couldn't.
I mean, that is, to have it break into the FPS thing would take so many advances.
Oh, yeah, we're not anywhere near there yet.
No, I don't think so.
Yeesh.
And when it's so much easier to play on mouse and keyboard to actually... I'd say being on the Vive or being in VR would actually put you at a disadvantage because you can only turn around and do things at physical speed.
Right.
While your aim may or may not be improved by this device, you're still limited by your own physical ability, and I could quite easily run circles around an individual just as fast as they could turn.
Yeah.
If not faster.
Yeah. I mean, you can sidestep around somebody before they can turn around to meet you. So
yeah, so if you know they're on a Vive, just circle strafe them. Win.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how about like RPGs? Another one that I have from Reddit is from Think in Time, the user on Reddit, and he or she brings up the point about RPGs like Elder Scrolls. Which again comes down to that first-person aesthetic type thing, but I don't know. I think that would be a more viable use for VR than.
Yes, I agree. I mean, you give me a virtual reality sword and shield, and I'll be happy for days.
Yeah, and you kind of get that from the Space Pirate Simulator. I guess you can use like an energy shield to deflect blasts from the floating drone things that you have to shoot. Or Space Pirate Trainer, is that what it's called? I don't remember what it's called. And so you can use like one pistol or one gun while you hold up the shield, and you can actually hold it up and block with it and shoot around it and stuff. It's pretty cool, and that would be really slick to be able to like swing your sword while blocking and stuff like that. But again, like if you're trying to simulate this realism, to me, like I just feel like you're not getting. It's just as shallow as using a controller because you're not simulating like the reaction that you would get whenever something hits your shield. Like you're not going to feel it in your arm. You're not going to really feel. You're going to have maybe a vibration on your hand, but that I just don't know if that's as worthwhile.
I just had an image of the way I actually play Skyrim, which is gather a load of monsters together, sort of like, well, walk into a clearing and suddenly find myself surrounded by, wolves or ogres or something like that, and then backpedal constantly while shooting a bow and arrow. I can cover miles going backwards. Till the last thing falls is when I stop moving backwards and backpedaling.
Can you imagine like having to draw each one of those arrows to try to pump into your opponents? Like, again, like you just would get tired. And I know that it comes down to the whole argument, don't be out of shape. But why do you have to be in shape to play a damn video game? Like,
I have to be in shape to go to the movies or read a book.
Exactly. Like, I just want to consume entertainment. I shouldn't have to flail my arms like a psychopath like I'm playing a Wii game, So it's another one of those things that, like, I'm excited for VR, but I just have so many hesitations because it just feels like the gimmickiness that the Wii brought with the motion controls.
It's definitely not out of its teething stage yet.
I'm just worried that it's never going to get out of that.
I think it's here to stay, but without finding that real kind of place where it belongs. I mean, without a doubt, it belongs in simulators.
Yes.
Because being able to, like sit in the amount of hours I could put into Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator.
And visual novels. Visual novels would be amazing with that. Like, actually feeling like you're face-to-face with the character that you're interacting with would be incredible. Yeah. I mean, that sort of... That seems like what it's best suited for. And I don't think, like, the whole flailing around thing is going to stick. I think they'll find their niche in things like visual novels, similar to, like even Honey Pop. Like, you could see Honey Pop on that, And, you do your face-to-face thing, and instead of it being a 2D static image, it's a 3D representation of the character. And then you can, when you're playing the little gem game that they have, you would use your little paddle to activate the gems and move them around and stuff. That would be pretty cool. I mean, I think that would be valuable and that would be fun. And I would love to see like a regular visual novel. I think a regular visual novel would be really cool, like a Japanese style one where it's just, conversation and it's all like it's more emotionally driven than physically driven.
And just imagine the bugs and glitches that could happen. You know how, like, you play, say, like, Fallout?
Yeah.
And someone's head starts spinning. How much freakier would that be in VR?
Oh my god. Or can you imagine, like, turning around and a super mutant being right behind you with, like, his, like, weapon drawn, like, about to smash you? I think horror games would be a good application as well.
There's going to be so many more head injuries taken into hospitals of people like jumping back into the bookshelves and things.
Yeah. That's why it's important to be sitting when you play those.
I agree. I will be playing, if I ever get VR, I will be playing it sat down.
Yeah, and that's where I would be too. I think it's going to have merit, and I think you're right. I think it's here to stay. It needs to grow quicker than I feel like it is. Like, it's taken them a long time to get these VR systems out. Like, how long had the Oculus Rift been hinted and all that stuff? Like, years and years.
Yeah. And I mean, we still have things, we still have other things on the table. There's still the Sony.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be PC compatible regardless.
Ooh, and that's only going to be $400.
Well, either they're going to make it, exactly. Either they're going to make it PC compatible, or people are just going to jailbreak it and it'll get hacked.
Turn it into an Oculus Rift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, having a poor man's Oculus or something like that, that's a market. And then there's things like the Microsoft Surface, which actually I feel augmented reality.
Oh, the HoloLens?
Yeah. So, I said Surface, didn't I?
Yeah, Surface is
Microsoft
their tablet.
HoloLens.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
No worries.
The Microsoft HoloLens, and I really like augmented reality.
Yeah.
I mean, I find, in fact, this could work with things like the Vive and Oculus as well.
Right.
But actual modeling
Hold on just a second. Hey, Ash, come here. Come here, buddy. Sorry, he came inside to tell me about whatever he was barking at.
Bless.
Yeah. But, I think the HoloLens, I personally put more stock in augmented reality than anything else because I like to be able to see. I don't know. I think it's more developed because we've had it on phones for so long, and we've had it on the DS. The 3DS has augmented reality, so I don't know. I think AR is a little bit further along than VR is.
I mean, there could be things like enhanced games. You know, like 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sat in front of a 3D monitor right now, and I do enjoy playing some games in 3D because having that depth of field and seeing it just becomes a little bit more real.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that makes such a difference.
It does. I mean, I really do enjoy it. I remember playing Tomb Raider on it and just like looking around. It was awesome because having that depth in the game, having that depth perception, just made something more real, and I got into the story more, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's a very simple thing, but I mean, if you could imagine the surface at certain points in the game, you know, things, I don't know, reached out of the screen, you know, a battle started happening on your desk, and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
There could be, it could be, that could be more easily doable, or something like that. That could be more achievable than, you know, like the Vive being completely 360 degreed.
Yes.
You know, because, again, that's one of the things. I mean, I hate Doom 3.
Mm-hmm.
Having to, I've never turned around in a game as much than I did in Doom 3. Oh, there's another noise, and that's the sound of a monster spawning. I guess it's going to be behind me again for the 900th time. Turn around, shoot the monster. Another noise, turn around, shoot the monster. And to have that in a Vive or Oculus experience would make me rage quit so hard.
Such a pain.
I would rage quit so hard out of that.
So I kind of like the way the Oculus does it in most of the games. It has like Team Fortress 2 and stuff, where when you look around, it's where your character is facing, like in Team Fortress 2. But you can the up, down, left, right like view, the initial left, right, like within a certain radius, is controlled by your head. And then if you want to do like a full turnaround, you'd use the thumbsticks on your controller like you normally would, or you'd use your mouse and keyboard. And that I really like. Like, I really enjoy that a lot. I don't know if the Vive... I mean, again, I'm sure the Vive has that option where there's games that are going to do that, where when you're sitting down, you don't have to have that full 360 point of view. And I think that's going to be another important thing. And, okay, well, I just looked at the time. We're at 33 minutes, which I think kind of ends our show. So, final word, Furball? Any final opinions on...
My final words are, we have so much more to talk about on VR.
Yes, we do. We could go
barely scratched the
forever.
surface.
I know. We could go forever. But we got to try to keep this around 30 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, I don't think it's going to be a flash in the pan. But again, it will live or die on its game support.
Yes.
Like, you'll never... Now it's here, you'll never get rid of it from things like Elite Dangerous and stuff like that, because to be in that situation, instead of just to be watching a screen and tracking, you know, fighters whizzing by, you know, by actually just looking at them, that's a level of immersion that you're just not going to find anywhere else, and that will not go away, because to actually stop doing that and then play the game, you know, normally with a mouse and keyboard, yeah, that you're taking something away there. I don't think it will go away at all. I think it's here to stay. But, yeah, whether it gets adopted by the masses, like yourself and myself, definitely depends on how cheap it's going to be and what support there will be in other games.
Yep. And I agree with you. One of the quotes in the PC Gamer review for this says, "After a week using the Vive, I'm more excited than ever about the future of VR." And I think that's what it comes down to. Is this is trying to get us hyped for the future of VR, not for VR
Hmm.
as it is right now. And
Yeah,
so I'm gonna keep taking that wait and see approach, and as it improves, which I'm sure it will, because I think with all these major companies taking such a stake in it, with Facebook buying Oculus, HTC making the Vive, and Sony with their foray into it, uh, I think I think this is just the beginning, and I think we'll see a lot more VR in the next 5, 10 years.
I agree. I mean, although you may have to buy, if you were to get VR on consoles, buy another console,
Hmm.
but that's still so much rumors surrounding that stuff right now.
And I think we could take an entire episode of this just talking about the upgradable Xbox thing that they
Yeah.
were kicking out, which I don't even want to get started on right now. I don't want to get mad. So I think that wraps it up for our second episode of Unplugged. Furball, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
This show would be lame as dicks without you.
Fun. Fun and interesting without you.
All right. So have a great evening, day, night. Have a great whatever it is for whoever's watching.
Morning
This.
here.
Morning? Oh yeah, morning. You're at what is it? After midnight for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So you night owl, you.
I know.